The problem is not AI. AI is everywhere and everyone wants to talk about it, but the problem is that founders are trying to renovate a house that doesn't really have a foundation yet. And generational impact is the freedom that I want to build is not just build for 15 years and have kids that say, oh, she wasn't around. That's not the freedom I want to build. And whether someone has kids or not, everyone wants some kind of freedom. So that's why building this right has generational impact. And it is possible. It's not a dream. You just got to build a foundation. Clarity is not going to come from watching another video. It's going to come from talking to humans about how to fix things with AI.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to another masterclass here with Atlas. And today I'm really excited. We have Shiffy on the call with us today. Shiffy is the founder of ClareOps, and I'm really excited to dive into the topic that we're going to be exploring today. So Shiffy has worked with a lot of founders who are just bottlenecked, working harder than ever, right? But still feels like their business depends way too much on them, right? And I can relate on many different levels here. And her work is to help them step back, right? To really look at the bigger picture here, to see what's actually happening inside of their operations and identify where their time, their revenue, and their capacity is being lost, right? And through her work, Shiffy has helped her clients reclaim over 2,000 founder hours and uncover more than 1 million in hidden revenue and improve productivity by just building clearer systems, stronger delegation, and better operational visibility. All right. And so today I'm excited because we're going to be diving into what most founders and what most people get wrong when it comes to AI delegation, right? Why AI doesn't just fix a messy business on its own, right? And how founders can start to really decide how to better work with AI, where AI belongs, where the human is still involved here, and what just needs to be clarified before we start going out there and automating things. And I hear this a lot. Everyone just jumps in and go, oh, okay, let me just automate this. Let me just have AI do this. But there's an ineffective and there's an effective way to do things. And I'm excited to dive into more of that today. So, Shiffy, really great to have you on today.
Hi, hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So, before we even go and talk about AI, I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about what you are hearing, what you're seeing when you're working with founders, right? When they come to you and they're trying to explain to you what their problem is and how they're approaching it. Yeah, I'd love to know what's the actual problem here, right? And what's the thing that most people miss when it comes to approaching that problem?
Of course. The problem is not AI. AI is everywhere and everyone wants to talk about it, but the problem is that founders are trying to renovate a house that doesn't really have a foundation yet. You're sitting there downloading every single tool, Claude, ChatGPT, and you're setting it up, you're training your team, you're very excited, but nothing's really changing, right? You still have the same headaches, the same chaos. You're still working 70-hour weeks, and you're like, why did I even do that? Why does it work for everyone? I see all these posts. Why doesn't it work for me? And here's why. You never check the foundation. You never asked, where does communication actually break down in my team? Which department is the real leak? Is it the way we bring clients in? Is it the way we onboard them? Is it the way we deliver to them? And most importantly, did you fix the leak first, or did you just pour more water on that broken pipe? Because when you put AI on top of that broken operations, it doesn't fix the broken foundation. You're just going to get faster chaos.
Yeah, yeah, I hear this a lot, right? A lot of the founders and executives that come into our world, the first thing they think of is, hey, I'm bottlenecked right now. I need to buy back my time. All right. And they come to us, find me an EA. I need to just delegate things, give things to them. And in their head, they think that, okay, if I just have the right EA, I'm going to get back my time. It's going to solve all of these problems. And the thing that I'm starting to realize after we've placed over 300 EAs now, right? And we've learned that they don't have a time problem. The problem they have is way more structural. It's a systems problem. It's a structural problem. It's the way they're running their business. It's the way, not the way they're running the business, the way the foundation, like you said, of their business is operating. That if that doesn't get fixed, there's no unicorn EA that's going to come in and automatically unbottleneck you, right? And so we see that all the time. I'm curious, can paint me the picture here? What does a typical day to day, week to week look like for the founders who are coming in They're drowning, they're working, like you said, 60 hours a week, even more, right? And just feels like nothing is really moving. I want to really paint that picture here so that the listeners here watching this can identify if that's them or not, which I'm sure they can on many different levels. Yeah.
Of course, and so much of what you said resonated. What a random Tuesday looks like, it's probably 6 a.m., your alarm goes off, and before your feet hit the floor, you're already on your phone checking, okay, did my team do this? Did they not? And oh my gosh, I'm teaching a masterclass today and they didn't send the email, or they did send the email. And you're probably just, you're like giving up and you're doing it yourself at that point, which is just repeating the pattern again and again. You have to approve everything, everyone comes to you with every decision, and you're physically holding that business with your bare hands, and you can't let go because then it's going to collapse. Now, as a founder, you want to think about the bigger picture. You want to work on the strategy, the growth, the things that actually move the business forward. But you can't do that because the details just keep on coming at you. So you're tired, you're exhausted, and so many founders tell me secretly they start hating that business that they once so passionately loved and were building towards. That's the foundational problem.
Yeah, that lands so well there. I also hear that a lot. It's just the resentment that builds up, right? The founders start to resent the business that they're running. They start to, on a certain level, maybe subconsciously, resent the team that they have as well, even though they may have a team of A players. All right. And I want to keep coming back to this is they come in thinking that they have a time problem. They're like, I'm bottlenecked. I need more time. I need to buy back my time, right? This concept of buy back your time it created a whole category of its own there. Right. And I think it's just really important that we also start to look underneath there and look at what's the actual root problem. Because you can buy back your time here. But if you're, as a founder, not effectively reallocating and restructuring where that time goes, right, and solving the issue of why you're losing that time to begin with, right, buying back your time is not going to solve the issue there. Right? And so I keep sharing with our clients, it's like you don't have a time problem, right? The issue here is, as you alluded to, right, is everything, all the context, all the institutional knowledge, all of this company data and everything lives either in your head or it's scattered all over the place, right? Either everyone's playing scavenger hunt or they have to go to you to get everything, right? And so, of course, you're the bottleneck. Of course, the team is coming to you and asking the same questions they were asking a quarter ago, 2 quarters ago, right? Why is the same problems? Why are we solving the same problems 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, right? So cool. So when the founders are coming to you and you first sit down with them and you're working with them, what are the things that you see that they do not see yet?
Good question. Founders are so deep inside their business that they can only see what's burning right now. And that's why they're going to be reactive, like the fire department, right? They're not going to see the smoke that maybe is 3 floors down. So when they tell me, oh my product launch was so chaotic, these are the 9 things that went wrong. If you stop there, then you're missing it all, right? Then you're going to be solving that same problem, like you said, next quarter. You can't stop there. And that's why I go deeper. And I ask, okay, who touched this? Who was responsible for this? When were they assigned to it? What decisions did they make? And which ones did you even allow them to make it? Because 90% of the time, your product launch, your masterclass, your customer service, it doesn't fail because of the immediate symptom that you see. It fails because the conversation you didn't have last quarter, or the role that you never clearly defined, or a decision that came to you when it should not have and you missed it. When you only focus on that one piece of the puzzle, then you're fixing it temporarily. And then you have the scavenger hunt, like you said, Colin, right? But when you pull back and you see the whole board, the roles, the communication, the decision-making authority, that's when you find the root causes that just sit at the center of really everything. And it changes, and that's what changes the business, not just for this one quarter, this one product launch, but for everything that comes after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure everyone listening right now is probably, yes, that's me right now. I'm feeling that right now. Let's jump into it. How do I fix this? But before we dive into that, I'm curious to hear more what you've seen has been the impact for those that don't go and fix this issue. If they continue to be the bottleneck, if they continue to be the single source of truth for their organization and for their team.
Yeah, so firstly, at the biggest point, people think it's a revenue problem, it's a money problem, because it usually affects your bottom line. But deeper than that, before the money problem, I've sat across from founders who are exhausted, they're deflated. You can see it in their eyes even before they start saying anything, right? Because they started a business with a mission. Maybe they wanted to change lives, maybe they wanted to build something that mattered, have freedom for themselves. And then along the way, this small details just swallow this big vision whole. And then you can't even remember why you started anymore. You can't remember why you built this. And then when you wake up every day and you feel like you're disappointing everyone, your team, your clients, yourself, your vision board that's maybe hanging, it changes your identity. So I think that's what we're actually solving for. They're not saying it out loud. They always say, oh, I want to make more money. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Right. I think one of our mission here at Atlas has always been around zone of genius, right? How do we help founders and executives operate more in the zone of genius? And there's a reason for that, right? It's not just jargon we like to throw around because it sounds cool or sounds nice, right? But to me, zone of genius is much more than, yeah, can you scale your company up? Can you fix the money issue? Can you generate more revenue and top line, bottom line, all of that, right? Yeah, that's all great, right? I'm sure you set out to do that to create generational wealth for you and your family and all of that. But at the end of the day, do you love the work you're doing? Or is this just purely out of survival or out of just needing to get out of that resentment, right? So there's a deeper piece here around the identity piece that I'm hearing you speak about, which I think is really important for all founders to really anchor in. All right, it's yeah, you started this with a huge purpose, a huge a mission, a huge vision that you want to create into reality here. All right, and there's an identity piece that gets to be brought up, right? In terms of, okay, which parts of this business, which part of this mission is resentment being built up? And are you allowing that resentment to continue to fester there? Or are you looking at how do I actually build this business in a way where I love the work that I'm doing? I'm excited every single day to get up there and I'm creating that environment and space for everyone on my team to also feel that excitement and operate in their genius, right? To me, I think that's way more important than just scaling up revenue and profit. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Cool. Let's dive in here. How do we fix this? How do we
Yeah.
fix this shitty?
But firstly, I want to acknowledge you, Colin, and what you've said about the zone of genius, and that is Atlas's mission. And I think you've brought to founders just the education and the awareness of what that even means. And I've watched some of your master classes in the past, and you've really brought that forward to founders to think, 1 second, what is even my zone of genius? So you've definitely, with your mission with Atlas is incredible. So thank you for that first. Yes, and diving in. So, how do we fix this? Not with a better strategy, but what founders actually need is a mirror. And the first thing I do is hold up the mirror. And it starts with 3 things. First, ask your team the questions that probably nobody ever asked them. Not how's the project going or how's your day, but rather what's draining you? What role do you think should be a role? What would you like to delegate and give to someone else? Because when you hear the answers, they're going to shock you. No one ever asked your team that, and it's important for you to hear that. Secondly, you want to audit your tools ruthlessly. You don't need that many tools if you don't even know the purpose for it. So check, what's your team using? Do you have duplicates that are doing the exact same things? Be as lean as possible and remove the ones that you don't need. And most importantly, my favorite, but not everyone's favorite, is document the basics. And you don't need fancy SOPs and you don't need big documents. You just need a simple Google document that explains the basics. How do you get a client? How do you serve your clients? How do you run a launch? How do you run a workshop? How do you get leads, right? How do you offboard clients? Just very simple, because this documentation, that's going to be the foundation that every tool, AI or not, is going to sit on.
Yeah. I love that. It's so important, right? I come from a very operational background as well. So I appreciate operations in ways that I think most founders dread. But yeah, a lot of founders hear it, right? Yeah, okay, I got to document, I got to create the SOPs, I got to document, create the playbooks for every single processes. I get it. And they dread it, right? And I think that dreading also just comes from not understanding the bigger picture vision of why this is needed, and more so in today's world or in this new AI era that we're in now, right? Just because we have AI adoption doesn't mean there's less of the operational excellence principles. Those aren't obsolete. In fact, they're even more important, right? How we train AI and what we train AI on when it comes to our processes is it's the difference between getting AI slop and not being able to get the outcomes you want versus actually getting the actual outcome you want, right? I want to ask something. I hear this a lot too. The first point that you brought up around asking your team questions, right? I think that's so powerful, right? I think a lot of founders don't do this, is they don't actually go to the team and be like, hey, what does your workflow currently look like? Where are you getting stuck? Where are there bottlenecks, right? Where are there opportunities that we can optimize, that we can systematize, that we can automate, that we can even eliminate, right? And I think that's such an important thing to do, right? But I also have seen where some founders will try to do that, but won't be able to extract what they need from their team. All right. So I'm curious if you have any ways to, is there a specific way we can ask our team and really extract from them what their workflows are and really spot and identify those opportunities?
Sure. So that's a great question. I think everyone's brain works a bit differently. So you'll have to ask your team how their brain works. I can tell you what has worked in the past. I took this from Alex Hormozy. So this goes back 3 years ago. I wanted to document what I was doing. So yes, for a full week, I had an alarm going every 20 minutes, literally every 20 minutes from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And all I would do, pen and paper, jot down, what did I do in these 20 minutes? And did anything annoy me in these 20 minutes? You don't want to jot it down, voice note it to yourself, whatever. But that gives you a picture. What did you actually do this hour? And what are the opportunities? And that's where you find so many hidden opportunities, as you said, to automate and maybe even to eliminate. If that doesn't work for some people, I get it. A really good questionnaire can help, but a deep one. I've sent this quite a few times to my clients' teams. A questionnaire with 20 to 25 questions. It probably takes 30 minutes to answer, but it goes deep on every person, and they actually love answering it. They feel heard, they feel seen, they feel like, hey, no one's ever asked me this. So you have to really work with everyone's brain and understand how they like to do it, and be creative.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the time audit one it's that one's a powerful one, right? That's one of the exercises we get a lot of our clients to do, right? Is before you go and start delegating things to your EAs, let's do a time energy audit, right? Whether that's the last 2 weeks, let's look at your calendar, let's look at your task board, let's also have you audit and just really identify what are the things that you're doing on repeat here that, yeah, either you can delegate this, human or AI, you can automate it, finding the opportunities there, eliminating it. I love the questionnaire piece, right? And yeah, it's the thing you said there that I think I want to really press on is make sure your team feels seen, right? And feels heard, right? That's so important because a lot of our team members are so in the weeds of things, right? That they don't have the opportunity to be invited to take a step back and be like, hey, let's look at how we can make this easier for you. This isn't about, and the framing here is important. This isn't about just like, how can I get AI to replace you so that I can let you go, right? Which, if you don't frame that, and they're going to come from a place of fear. Oh, why is my founder auditing me? Why is my founder auditing my workflows right now? It's going to create fear from them. And then you don't have their buy in, right? And then it's not a win win situation for either you or your team. But if you frame it the right way, right? An exercise I think can really work well, right? Is just frame it well. Hey, I want to look for opportunities to bring in more AI and automations to make your workflow easier so you're not stuck in the weeds here. That frees you up to do way more creative work. Help me help you here. Let's go through, let's dive in. Give me a clear picture of what your day-to-day looks like, I'm going to send you this questionnaire that you can either fill out, or if responding to that, typing things out doesn't work well, how about you and I just hop on a Zoom and walk me through it? This isn't an audit. Walk me through your workflow. What do you do? First, when you log in, what do you do? Then what? Then what? Oh, I didn't understand that part. Can you explain that part? Why did you do that way versus this way? Oh, okay, that seems like a repetitive thing. What if we brought in AI or built an automation to automate this for you, right? That would save you how much time per week, right? And it's the
That's
framing there
exactly.
is really important, right?
I couldn't agree more, especially if you frame it as an audit, you're gonna raise everyone's cortisol, they're gonna get nervous, and they're not gonna be as transparent with you. But if you frame it as, hey, I'm here to make your life easier, because nobody likes to be drained, right? That's when you get everything that you need. So 100% Colin.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I frame it with the team is I bring it back to our mission is, hey, we're not just here to help the executives and founders and our clients operate their genius. I want all of you guys to operate your genius. All right. And if your genius is not manually adminning certain things into a dashboard, right, or updating a CRM, right, or whatever manual repetitive task you're doing, it's like that's not your zone of genius. Let's get you in your zone of genius. Let's find a way to automate this. But I can't help you automate this until you tell me what gets to be automated or delegated. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh, on that note, how do we, I see this come up a lot is because with the AI adoption and how quickly that's evolving, everyone is jumping straight to, I'm just going to delegate everything to AI now. And I personally don't think that's the best approach. And I'd love to hear your take on that. And specifically around like deciding what gets delegated to a human versus to AI or a hybrid of that. And what's the distinction between what AI should do versus what humans should do?
Yeah, most people do delegate to AI randomly, and then they're shocked when they get random results. So here's what I like to use. First, you need to decide, is this a human task or is this an AI task? And what does that even mean? AI only gets the tasks that are repeatable, rule based, and already mastered by a human. I call it the ready for AI test, and it has to pass all three. So, repeatable, you're doing this over and over, not just once a year. Rule based, there are clear rules that you can give to the AI to follow, and already mastered by a human, because the human who mastered it knows what went wrong last time, they know the exceptions, they know what to watch out for. When you document that knowledge, now your AI has this wisdom. It's not just instructions. So that's for the AI. Now humans should get everything else, right? The judgment calls, the relationships, the conversations where is upset and you need to make them feel seen and heard. That the decisions that need a human touch, because AI could be a very consistent team member. They won't forget anything, they don't have a bad day, they're not sick, but you need the humans to write the playbook first. So when you start with the lowest hanging fruit, the most repetitive task, the kind that you'd probably give to an entry level team member, start there and then work your way up.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I agree. We have a similar framework we use here with the team, and can't remember who. I think I learned this from Zion. It's called the Doctors Framework, right? So DRS, which stands for do it first, right? Get the results, and then systematize, right?
Yeah.
So make sure that's something that as a human you can do first, right? And you're able to get results first, right? Once you're able to consistently get results with it, and yeah, if it's a repeatable thing, document it, create the rules for it, right? Make sure there's a clear playbook, SOP, whatever you want to call it, but a clear guide on how to go from here to get that result consistently every single time. Then you go and you systematize it, or AKA automate it, delegate it to AI, whatever it is, right? And I see a lot of founders make this mistake where there's, oh, AI can do everything, and they just go and delegate everything to AI. And then with, like you said, without the right instructions, without the right rules and guardrails, and then they don't get the results and they go, that didn't work for me. I'm going to give up on AI. It didn't
Yes.
work for me. Of course. Were you able to do it as a human first? Did you get the result yet? If you didn't, then of course AI is not going to be able to do it the way you want AI to be able to do it, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I think when that happens, when they say, "Oh, I tried it and it didn't work," I think they put on a blindfold on the AI and they're like, "Drive, ChatGPT, Claude, any other tool. If you give it generic information, as it's going to give you generic answers because it's going to pull everything from the internet about, let's say, marketing agencies and give you an answer based on all marketing agencies. But that's not your business. Your business is your distinctive business, your clients, your decisions, your history. And I know you've spoken about this in the past, and I'll add on to that. I think you call it the second brain. Was that your terminology for it, right? I called it the business brain, but in essence, it's the same thing. You need to build that business brain, right? Think of it, you're imagine hiring a marketing chief for a 300K a year salary. Would you let them walk in on day one and just figure it out? Probably not. You would sit with them, tell them why you started the business, who you serve, how you make decision, what worked in the past, what didn't, why you want to do things differently now, and you would give them that context that took so many years to build. Your AI deserves the same, right? It needs your documented processes, your offers, your ideal client, why you like something the way you like it. And when you start there, you give it that foundation, the more it could really become your chief of marketing and not just the internet's chief of marketing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're very big right now. That's our main focus is really on helping founders build their version of the second brain and even expanding that to company brain as well, right? So starting with the executive brain, getting your institutional knowledge, context, everything in your head, preferences, the way you like things, your tribal knowledge on what you know works and doesn't work for your specific business and industry, getting that all into one place. And this is not just for the AI, but it's for humans as well, right? This is the structural issue of why you're bottlenecked. You don't have a time problem. The problem is there's a delay or a gap between contact to truth, right? And then this is what I've been sharing with founders right now, right? For them to get their truth that they need for humans to do what they do well, which is have good taste and have good judgment, right? AI is it's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. There's still a lot of AI slop because what it's good at doing is processing information, organizing and retrieving context. What it's quite not yet there yet is it's lacking the human judgment, the lacking the human taste, right? The ethical vision, values aligned decision making, right? That AI is not going to be able to quite do yet, right? It's still quite generic on that, right? The taste around what I know works and doesn't work in my industry, right? The judgment of having been in this industry or in this business for so many years and knowing what will work, what won't work, that's out of the norm, outside the box, right? That's where humans excel at, right? And for humans to play more at the edge of that, and for AI to support humans to play at the edge of that, we need something you can call it second brain, company brain, intelligence layer, whatever you want to call it. There's so many fancy jargons out there right now, but it's just
Yeah.
basically bringing all that context into one place and making it really easy for either humans or AI to retrieve that context, synthesize that, and operate in their genius, which is have good taste, have good judgment, make good decisions. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Even that, if you think about it, just doing the exercise of extracting everything from your brain and putting it in one place, it provides so much clarity. We've never had to do it. Now we have to, but we've never had to do it until now, which is why there's always been chaos. It's almost like now that we have to, it's a real exercise in clarity. It makes someone think, okay, why do I even think this way? Why do I like this industry and vice versa?
yeah. And those are all gold, right? That's gold right there that makes the difference between generic decisions that AI would make and really good decisions that can grow, level up, and elevate your business and your team there. Now,
Exactly.
yeah. Another question is when it comes to delegating to AI. So, okay, we know that we want to delegate the repeatable processes, the things that are recurring, that happens all the time with clear guidance, with clear rules, with clear guardrails. All right. Is there such a thing as delegating too much to AI? Right. And where does it go wrong when people hand over too much or hand over things that they probably shouldn't be.
Yes, I see it all the time. Founders fall in love with the efficiency of handing things over, but they hand over things that they shouldn't. And here's where it would go wrong: when you delegate the relationship, the judgment call, when you delegate that moment that really requires a human, like you said, with good taste and good judgment. Because you could automate and delegate that follow-up email, but you can't really automate that conversation with a client that's really mad and just needs to talk to you. You could automate the onboarding. You can't automate the moment where the client feels appreciated and seen that they just dropped 10 grand on you, right? And the real danger is when the human just checks out too early. When you think, okay, let AI take everything over, but it can't happen that way. You can delegate your judgment, your taste, your vision, because then it's just going to sound like everyone else. It's going to be forgettable. It's not going to be you. And I think now more than ever, specifically, because so many people are doing it, that's when your clients and your team, they need your human touch. AI should not make you less human. It should make you more human.
Yeah, I love that. That's so important. And I'm starting to see that a lot, not just small businesses, but even enterprise businesses now, where I reach out for support and it's AI. You just know you're talking to AI, right? And it's fine when I'm just needing one or two answers to technical support questions. I get it. I'm in this space. I get it. Right? It's way more efficient that way. But as I'm frustrated, I need to talk to a human right now. I would like to speak to a human, right? And when that's not possible, or that's not, yeah, when it's not possible, like it just it makes the company feel less humanized, right? It's okay. I'm not speaking to a humanized brand here. I'm speaking to just, it just loses that touch, right? And my perspective around that brand just shifts immediately. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You
And
don't
so it's
feel
so
heard.
important. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we covered a lot here, and I'd love to hear from you, right? If you can just kind of paint the picture here for those that are watching this, when they do this right? When they actually go through, do the audit, get the clarity from their team, taking a step back, looking at a bigger picture of their operations, looking at things structurally, right? And delegating effectively, being smart about what gets delegated to AI, where the human in the loop is still needed, where humans can still hold the relational components of the business. When that happens, what's the impact that has on the founder and their business and their team?
Yes, I would say a generational impact. Back to that Tuesday morning that we had before, when you wake up, the first thing is not your phone to check what your team broke while you were sleeping. You get to make your coffee, you get to have that sit down hour or two where it's a real strategy block and making the decisions of where am I taking this business next. Because your team knows what to do, your AI knows what it's supposed to handle, nothing is burning. Maybe you're lingering a little bit longer with at breakfast with your kid. Maybe you're just thinking of how to expand this further. But I think most importantly, because you have that clarity, now you know, okay, all those goals that you set, they're not only goals, because every task, every meeting ties back to those goals, which makes it more of a guarantee that you're actually going to hit it. And generational impact is, I say this, I'm a mom of two daughters. And for me, the freedom that I want to build is not just build for 15 years and have kids that say, oh, she wasn't around. That's not the freedom I want to build. And whether someone has kids or not, everyone wants some kind of freedom. So that's why building this right has generational impact. And it is possible. It's not a dream. You just got to build a foundation.
I, wow, I love that. I'm getting goosebumps and shivers here just hearing that. This is the first time hearing the term generational impact, and I think that just lands so well there, right? I'm stepping into the phase of my life where I'm going to be starting a family and everything, and yeah, 100%. That's my vision, right? I want to take Atlas to the moon here. I want to create massive impact in the world, but not at the cost of what's really important to me. Is how do I actually get to show up as a better husband and father to my family, right? And I don't want that scenario where I did this amazing thing, but what it costed me was a generational consequence, right? And so, yeah, the generational impact, that's massive. That's huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you, Shippy. Where can they start? where should they start? What's one thing that they can do right now before they go out there and start adding more AI tools, automating things, delegating things to AI? What's one thing that our listeners can take away and start doing today?
Yes, let's get to that one move that moves everything else. It's simple. Write down how you actually run your business, not the version that you want it to be like, because that, I'm not going to say shitty, but I will. That won't work. The real one, how you run your business today. Now, if you can't write it down, that's a problem. Get clear on it because AI will not give you that clarity. But when you have that documentation and you know yourself, that's when every tool that you'll eventually use is going to be so much more powerful because you're not going to be giving it instructions anymore. You're going to give it wisdom. So today, this week, open a Google document, write it down, start with one process. How do I get a client, right? Build from there so that you're not automating the chaos. Build that foundation and then watch how everything changes.
I love that. Cool. Do you have any tools, resources you'd like to share with the team so they can, with everyone listening, so that they can get started?
Sure. If you've been here until now, you know you want that freedom. Maybe you've nodded along as Colin and I described you exactly. Here's what to do next. You can book a free AI operations audit with me. In that session, we're going to go through your entire business together. I can show you exactly what's ready to be delegated to AI right now versus what you need to fix first. And it's, yes, you can sit and build this yourself, but this is completely free. I do 5 of these a month because we go very deep and real. So if something today landed with you, don't wait. The link is going to be right below this video because you don't want to continue, you don't want to continue operating with chaos. Clarity is not going to come from watching another video. It's going to come from talking to humans about how to fix things with AI. Yes.
So yeah, no, I highly recommend everyone take that opportunity here. That's really generous of you. And I just want to speak into this a little bit too, right? I'm seeing just AI agencies pop up everywhere like mushrooms now. Everyone and everyone's cousin is starting an AI agency, right? And it's great. It's great. I love it. I love seeing that. I love people being innovative and really stepping into what the future of work gets to look like, right? However, what I will share is that a lot of it is built on trends and what's trending and what's great and what's the next shiny thing here, all right? And what I believe a lot of people are missing right now is that operational structure with the
Yes.
foundations, right? And it's interesting, right? It's like you see the marketers out there go and build AI agencies, and I'm sorry if one of you guys listening and watching this, that's you. Right?
Hey, they
Marketers out
still need good operations, even if they're an AI agency.
yeah, they go out there, they build these AI agencies, and it's great marketing and it's great offers and it's great what they can do. And I'm sure it creates a lot of good outcomes out there, right? But I feel what I don't want to say no one, what I see less of are people with strong operational backgrounds and understands what actually makes operational excellence work in a company, right? Whether you have a big company, whether you have a small company, whether you're trying to scale down your company, regardless of what your headcount is, you have people, you have AI, right? There are nodes of connections. There are context that needs to be engineered. There are foundational structures that needs to be built in order for you to achieve what it is that you want to achieve without the cost of you being that bottleneck all the time, right? As Chippy mentioned, the impact of that is generational, right? This isn't just I'm bottlenecked for another quarter or I'm bottlenecked for a year here, right? It's what's the impact of you being bottlenecked? What does that have on those around you, right? And generationally as well. And just sharing this to say that it's rare to find someone who's both operational and has the operational principles and structures and is also AI forward. And Shiffy, you are that, right? And so, highly recommend you guys take that opportunity to do this free AI operations audit. And I'm sure you'll get something out of it, whether you continue to move forward with working with Shiffy or not. All right. So, just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Colin. It's, as I said, it's a pleasure talking to you because you also come from a very strong operational standpoint, which is why you've been so successful in spreading your mission. And definitely, I'd love to hear where you plan to take Atlas forward because you said you have this big vision and mission. But maybe we want to discuss this off camera. I don't know.
I mean, I can share a little bit, right? It's everything we were speaking into, right? I think people keep asking me, do you believe that the EA market is it going to become obsolete? Are people still going to hire EAs or not? And my answer, and I've shared this with our talent pool and our team and all of our EAs, it's your role as it was, yes, obsolete, 100%. Right? Because a lot of the things that you guys were doing AI can do now, and AI will probably continue to get better and continue to do. However, your role itself, if you allow it to evolve and become more future forward, and you look at where can I take the zone of genius of an EA and apply that in the AI era, that's where you guys are going to excel at. Right. And
Yeah.
that's what we're training our EAs to do now is not just be task doers and task takers. And there's the zone of genius, like where they excel at is the level of proactivity, the level of judgment that they bring because they work so closely to the founder. Right. If we know that in most businesses, the founders are the bottleneck because they hold all of the context and everything, the person closest to the founder is going to be the EA or chief of staff. All right. And so you're the closest to the source of truth that the rest of the team needs, that AI needs, then you get to be that bridge, right? And so the
And you can
opportunity for
probably
EAs,
help them. Yeah, you can probably help them extract that.
exactly, right? You can extract that and help build the systems like a second brain, a company brain, whatever you want to call it, knowledge base, right? That sets up both the team and AI to be able to retrieve that context so they can do what they do well and operationally well. Right. And so the EA's role has evolved, right? They're no longer just traditional task doers, right? Or VAs or admins, right? They're stepping into this territory where they get to be, I'm calling it the brain architects, right? They get to be like the architects of that. They're the bridge that gets to extract out the context and put it and organize it, right? And yes, there's a technical gap there, but that's what we're looking to close here is how can we start training our EAs to close that technical gap, right?
Mhm.
So that they can be more of that brain architect, context engineer, whatever you want to call that, right?
Awesome.
So that
You can call them EAs, which instead of EAs, brain architects.
the brain architects. I like that. All right. I might borrow that.
Go for it.
So yeah, in a nutshell, that's the direction we're moving here at Atlas, right? It's moving beyond the buy back your time category, right? It's really looking at how do we actually really remove founders as the bottleneck, right? And it
Mm.
comes back to everything we're talking about here, plus, yeah, everything here, plus building that brain there, right? And setting up the right people to help build that brain. And the hardest part, and I'll be transparent, the most difficult part of all this is going to be team adoption because it's a new way of working, right? And I've
Yes.
seen this, right? And I'm sure you've seen it too. It's like you can build the cool AI tools and automations, right? The hardest part is getting team adoption. Does the team understand that this is the new way of working now, right? Can
Yeah.
they let go of the old way? Can they realize they're no longer just task doers anymore? Right? They're moving into this area of being more of that judgment, that decision maker, that taste. Right. And it's an identity shift for them, not just the
Very big.
founders.
Yeah. I think it's very similar though to when you look back at history, every disruption that we've had. Think of the people that made their money through horse and buggy rides, and then the car came out. And at first they said no one's going to use cars because they were trying to just protect themselves. But the people that probably shifted their business, now again, I didn't do research on this, but I'm assuming whoever was providing rides with a horse and buggy had to shift over to the cars. Either they shifted over or they got lost and we don't even know them. So I think that it's a very similar disruption.
100%. And we've seen this disruption like over and over again. Even, I'm not even going to talk about when internet came out, but like when Uber became a thing, there's a whole identity shift for taxi drivers.
Yeah.
The ones that excelled were the ones that took that and been like, oh, okay, so there's a new way of doing this,
The
right?
early
And
adopter.
adopted. Yeah, yeah. And so we're seeing the same here, right? And in order for adoption to happen is again, like you have to come back to the principles, right? The same principles that made things work, right? You can't just go and adopt a new thing without really understanding how everything fits together, right? Which is why I'm just a huge fan of like operations. Like operations needs to be there. You cannot adopt AI without having a strong operational foundation. Yeah.
No, you cannot. Thank you. This has been incredible, Colin. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for hopping on and sharing your insights and your experience and all of that. And yeah, I cannot recommend enough. If you guys have the opportunity, take that to book a call with Shiffy. Yeah, and there's so much more we can jam on. Maybe we'll do a part two or something and dive deeper
Yes.
into things.
Yes.